Since the dawn of time, humans have been telling stories, passing them down from generation to generation. From urban legends to ghost stories to terrifying creatures from folklore. The stories never cease. So today on Top 5 Scary Videos, I'm going to be counting down our list of the top 5 scary monsters from folklore. Before we begin though, be sure to stick around until the end of the video where I'll be responding to some of your comments. And with that, let's jump in. In at number 5, the Wendigo. Also known as the Wendigo or Witico, the Wendigo originates from Native American legend and is said to be a demonic half-beast as told by the Algonquin peoples along the Atlantic coast of the USA and Canada. The legend itself lends its name to the disputed modern medical term Wendigo psychosis, which is supposed to be a culture-bound disorder. To quote Basil Johnston, a teacher and scholar, the Wendigo was gaunt to the point of emaciation, its desiccated skin pulled tauntly over its bones, with its bones pushing out against its skin, its complexion the ash grey of death. Its eyes pushed back deep into their sockets, the Wendigo looked like a gaunt skeleton recently disinterred from the grave. What lips it had were tattered and bloody. Unclean and suffering from separation of the flesh, the Wendigo gave off a strange and eerie odour of decay and decomposition, of death and corruption. The most common interpretation of the Wendigo is that it's a spirit that possesses a person after they resort to cannibalism, whether that be under dire circumstances or not, and turns them into a Wendigo. They are also said to have an endless craving for human flesh and are sometimes said to grow in proportion to the meals that they eat, so that they never get full. Wendigos are known to have superior speed and stealth, the ability to mimic human voices, near-perfect hunting skills, and in some cases the ability to control the weather. They are also known to bring darkness before dusk. In at number 4 we have Dover Demon. Originating in Dover, Massachusetts, the Dover Demon is a small humanoid that was subject of an intensive scare during the 1970s. When multiple witnesses came forward reporting sightings across the area. This monster is described as looking like a grey alien, except that it has skin of a rosy orange coloration. It has a large head on a small body and oftentimes travels on all fours. Its eyes are said to glow, sometimes orange, sometimes green. The first sighting begins at 10:32 p.m. on April 12th, when Bill Bartlett, Mike Mazoka, and Andy Brody were driving north on Farm Street. Bartlett, who was driving, spotted something creepy along the side of the road. Think it was a dog or a cat, he thought nothing of it. That wasn't until his headlights illuminated the creature. The creature turned its head and looked at the group, his large head on his stick-thin body, and his eyes glowing an orange colour. Now skeptics claim that the Dover Demon is simply a lost baby moose, which has been glimpsed under unusual conditions, making it appear humanoid. However, people don't believe this explanation and point out that all sightings happen during the wrong time of year for a moose that small to exist. In at number 3 we have Baba Yaga. Hailing from Slavic folklore, the Baba Yaga is a supernatural being or witch that takes on the form of an old hideous woman. In some stories she is said to fly around in a mortar, wielding a pestle and dwelling deep in the forest inside a hut that is said to stand on chicken legs. Baba Yaga has become one of the most memorable and distinctive figures in European folklore. In certain stories it is said that Baba Yaga may help or hinder those who encounter her or seek her out. In others she is known to kidnap children, threatening to eat them. In fact, many tales of witches living in houses made of candy or cake were named Baba Yaga. In some stories, heroes would venture into the wilderness to seek out help of Baba Yaga, asking for her advice or assistance in completing a quest. Sometimes she played the role of an antagonist, while other times she was a source of guidance. No matter the story, she always drives a hard bargain and will set out her conditions in terms of the agreement. All of her verbal contracts allow her the right to eat anyone who was later unable or unwilling to fulfill their end of the deal. Coming in at number 2, Dulhan. The Dulhan, also known as the Headless Horseman, is a type of fae originating from Irish folklore. It is said that this sinister being appears as either a man or a woman riding atop a black horse, but the rider has no head upon their shoulders. Instead, it is carried under their arm. It is also said that the head appears dead and rotten, with a demonic grin spread across its face from ear to ear. The Dulhan is also known to carry a whip made from a human spine, and sometimes pulls a wagon which is adorned with funeral objects. According to legend, around midnight on certain Irish festivals or feast days, the Dulhan Dulhan may be observed riding a dark and snorting steed across the countryside. Storyteller from the Mourne Mountains once recounted his experience with the monster, stating, "I seen the Dulhan myself stepping on the brow of the hill between the Bryansford and Moneyscalp late one evening, just as the sun was setting. It was completely headless, but it held up its own head in its hand, and I heard it call out a name. I put my hands across my ears in case the name was my own, so I couldn't hear what it said. When I looked again, it was gone, but shortly afterwards there was a bad car accident on that very hill, and a young man was killed. It had been his name that the Dulhan was calling." Now it is said when the Dulhan stops riding, that is where a person is due to die, and when a Dulhan calls out the person's name, the person immediately perishes. There is no way to block the road against a Dulhan. All locks and gates are open to them when they approach. They are however frightened of gold, and even a single gold pin can drive a Dulhan away. And finally, coming in at number 1, we have Tekiteki. Hailing from Japan, Tekiteki is a malevolent ghost/demon similar to that of the infamous Kuchisaka Onna, or the slit-mouthed woman. Tekiteki was originally a human who was bullied and in some stories assaulted, resulting in her jumping off a train platform onto the tracks and getting cut in half by the oncoming train. It is said that she barely survived due to the cold weather, with her crawling to a person for help. But instead of aiding her, they left her to die. Now Tekiteki's vengeful spirit stalks the streets of Japan. She often lurks in urban areas and around train stations at night. Since she no longer has a lower half, she travels on either her hands or elbows, dragging her upper torso and making a scratching, Tekiteki-like sound. According to legend, if she encounters an individual, she will chase them and slice them in half, killing them in such a way that mimics her own disfigurement. One particular legend goes as follows. As a young schoolboy was walking home at night, he spotted a beautiful young girl standing by a windowsill resting on her elbows. They smiled at each other for a moment. The boy wondered what a girl was doing in an all-boys school, but before he could wonder more about the girl, she jumped out the window and revealed her lower half was missing. Frightened, he stood on the sidewalk, but before he could run, she caught up to his location quickly and cut the boy in half. Sucks to be him. Well, there we have it. Do you guys agree with our list? Were there any scary monsters from folklore that we missed? Leave us all your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below, and perhaps we can do a part 2. Before I go though, I just want to respond to a few comments from one of our last videos, top 5 scary horror movie openings. Kristen Guerra said, "Jaws is cool, it's the ultimate nightmare, the nightmare that will never end." That is very, very true. I have a horrible fear of the ocean, and one of those reasons is because of Jaws. I don't like sharks. I think all of them are gonna kill me one day. Or that, or I'm gonna die in the pit of a whale's stomach. That is... It's a genuine fear I have. Another reason I don't like the ocean. Whales. Graham Barlow said, "I'm sure you left out the original When a Stranger Calls to justify a part 2. I just felt I'd be cheating if I put both When a Stranger Calls and Scream on the same list, because Scream was mimicking When a Stranger Calls while paying homage. I could have put When a Stranger Calls. I'm just making excuses for myself. I'll put it in a part 2. Biza said, "I love that you had Suspiria on this list. The opening is great, as is the whole movie. I also love that you commented on Goblin's score in the movie. Speaking of scores, a video on the top 5 best scores in horror films would be a great idea." Honestly, I see this comment in every single video. Top 5 best scores. Listen guys. Top 5 best scores in horror movies. We could do it, but you would want to hear the score. And we can't play the score because of copyright. It's just not worth it, is it? I mean, we could, maybe if you really want it. But yes, Suspiria is amazing and Goblin's score is even better. But we can't play it for you. Steve Cass said Alfred Hitchcock was a genius when it comes to suspense. Yes, he was. So many people walked out of Psycho. But the thing that really bothered people the most was the toilet flushing scene. It was the first time a toilet was flushed on screen in Psycho. Really pissed a lot of people off. I'm the Canadian said, "Please don't ever leave this channel, Lucy, and if you do ever want to leave, please don't." Thanks. I don't actually plan on leaving at all, so I'm gonna be here till the end of time, till the end of YouTube. I ain't going anywhere. Don't worry. I'm not leaving. And on that note, if you haven't already, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another scary vid. And until next time, see you later.